In the Mood for Life has always been about embracing life's myriad adventures. All these episodes so far have always been about destinations, capturing the soul and essence of the places that I've been. But this time, instead of focusing on a place, I'm dedicating an entire episode to a season. That one season of the year that's been bringing so much joy and warmth for thousands of years to our entire civilization as we know it. That one time in the year when cities, towns and villages are all festooned with the most glorious decorations. Markets and squares are illuminated with dazzling spectacles of light, weaving a spellbinding atmosphere of warmth and splendor that can only be attributed to one special season. This is In the Mood for Christmas. Christmas is, without a doubt, the most wonderful time of the year, and to make it even more wonderful, I was presented with a sparkling opportunity to go on a Rivercruise during Advent season from Germany to France, home to Europe's oldest Christmas markets, and where Christmas is celebrated like nowhere else in the world. Thanks to the incredible Dave, the Rivercruise King, for bringing me along to this one-of-a-kind Christmas adventure. So stick around and get cozy as along with Salvador de Sommelier, who joined me throughout this trip, we take you to some of Germany's most extraordinary cities and villages to visit during Christmas time, as well as a magical French village and France's capital of Christmas. For 12 days we experienced a great tradition of German Christmas, celebrated all the way back since the Middle Ages, indulged in all kinds of Christmas markets, both big and small, stayed in a German village just straight out of a storybook, and then embarked on a river cruise for 6 nights aboard the Amadeus Star, all the way from the German city of Nuremberg to Strasbourg in France, sailing across the Main River to the Rhine, visiting postcard-perfect towns, castles, palaces, old-world taverns, cafes and restaurants in between, and then concluding our journey in a truly spectacular French Christmas. Part of what made this trip really unique and extraordinary is that we're not only going for a river cruise. Dave, who's lived in Europe for 25 years and in Germany for over a decade, has created a special pre-cruise and post-cruise itinerary of the places that he's personally lived before, one of the many ways he makes his trips feel exclusive and super authentic. Everything that we've done and the places we've visited are handpicked, curated, and all come from Dave's personal favorites. So, on our pre-cruise trip, we dived into the German city of Frankfurt. During a 2-night stay in Frankfurt, we checked in at the Fleming Selection Hotel, facing the Eschenheim Tower, a landmark in the city, one of the surviving remnants of medieval Frankfurt. We find the hotel super comfortable, the bed's amazing, with rooms that have views over the city. The lounge is spacious where guests can relax, and every morning we're treated to a spectacular breakfast on the top floor, which is an Italian restaurant in the evenings. And it's just a total delight having breakfast in the morning, looking out to the city below. This also means Fleming's Hotel, named after the James Bond author Ian Fleming, is excellently located. We're always a short walking distance to the city centre and to many Christmas markets, which we've explored throughout our stay in the city. Now let's talk about Frankfurt. Also known as Frankfurt am Main, being a major city along the Main River. It's known as a city of contrasts, with a skyline that's in absolute juxtaposition between the old and the strikingly modern. This is Germany's only skyscraper city, dubbed as Manhattan, largely due to the city's devastation during the Second World War. The city chose to rebuild in newfangled ways. Now, it's the largest financial hub in continental Europe and home to the European Central Bank, which explains all this metropolis approach. We were taken on a tour around the city to remind ourselves that beneath this modernity, behind the steel and concrete, lies an old Frankfurt, once home to the Holy Roman Empire, where Frankish kings and emperors once ruled, from the first Holy Roman Emperor Charlemagne to the last of them, Francis II of the Habsburg dynasty. We walked around the old town of Frankfurt, with Nuremberg at its heart, this wonderful city square with half-timbered houses and medieval buildings, including House Wertheim, the only original building here in the square that survived World War II. Nuremberg is truly beautiful, now poised with the season's decorations and a Christmas market, one of the oldest in Germany. But more on Christmas markets later as we went to explore and get to know more of Frankfurt. Let's not forget, parts of the old town were heavily destroyed during the last war, so a lot of these were carefully reconstructed. Thankfully, this part of Frankfurt retains its medieval spirit, including Frankfurt Cathedral, where emperors were crowned, Paulskirche, or St. Paul's Church, the birthplace of German democracy, hosting the first freely elected parliament in 1848, and Goethe's house, rebuilt to honor the birthplace of the famous German writer, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe. Later, we took the hop-on hop-off bus to head across the south bank of the Main River to explore Alt-Sachsenhausen, one of Frankfurt's oldest districts, famous for its apple wine taverns. We ended up in Frau Krausche, this wonderfully rustic place, one of the most authentic taverns here, serving traditional German classics such as Schweinhaxe or pork knuckle, Bratwurst and sauerkraut, washed with a classic Frankfurt Apfelwein that's locally brewed in this place. Before we headed back for our evening Christmas market tours, we stopped by at Kleinmarkthalle, Frankfurt's ultimate indoor food market, where anyone can explore stalls upon stalls of local produce, delicacies and culinary offerings from many of its food stands. We went up to the upstairs wine bar to enjoy a glass of fresh Riesling wine to celebrate our Frankfurt adventure. The 2 evenings that we stayed in Frankfurt, Dave curated a list of Christmas markets of all shapes and sizes to make sure we get to experience the variety of markets available in the city and to get a good introduction to what German Christmas is all about. Along with his wonderful partner Thierry and his fun group of Christmas revelers, we set off on a great German Christmas market tour. First stop is the Turn- und Taxi Weihnachtsmarkt, a rather intimate and exclusive Christmas market in a charming setting in the courtyard of the Turn- und Taxi Palace, also known as Palais Frankfurt, owned by the Turn- und Taxis family, one of Europe's most famous aristocratic dynasties. It's a really great spot for a relaxed, cozy market experience, perfect for our first Christmas market, and we can finally enjoy a warm mug of Glühwein, or mulled wine, as we huddle around tables and get to know more about our many travel companions on this trip. Next, we stopped by at the Hauptwache Market, next to the Saal shopping street, where all kinds of Christmas booths and fun rides await. And we stopped by here for a much-needed Bratwurst break. I mean, no trip in Germany is complete without indulging into its sausages, making for a perfect snack in between mugs of Glühwein. Carrying on, we walk towards Rossmarkt, where a 16-meter Christmas pyramid is propped on a square, a stunning picture set against Frankfurt's skyline. But one of the most unique markets Dave took us to is this vibrantly illuminated pink Christmas market known as the LGBTQ market of Frankfurt, where the whole thing is lit up and decorated in pink. We had an awesome time here, and there's such a great vibe, drinking Feuerzangenbowle, the spiced wine punch brewed in a cauldron, and also admiring these delightful mulled wine mugs, which we took home as mementos. But the real draw and real heart of Frankfurt's Christmas market experience is the Nuremberg Christmas Market. We've been here both in daytime and nighttime. An evening visit is truly something else. One of Germany's oldest and largest, Nuremberg is a true Christmas classic, and I dare anyone to come here and not feel the festive spirit. So much nostalgia in the square with this beautiful carousel and this huge Christmas tree about 30 meters high and all sorts of stalls decorated to perfection. We tried the Kartoffelpuffer, or fried savory potato pancake dipped in drippy garlic sauce with enough grease for us to thirst for wine, from Franken and Baden wine region, no less. And finally, we took our market tour to a higher level as Dave took us to the city Christmas market atop the Constable Wacker car park with panoramic views of Frankfurt's skyline. What a way to end our Frankfurt market tour, with an incredible view of the cityscape despite drizzly weather, with another round of Glühwein conversations while surrounded by this festive atmosphere. And from that, we bid Frankfurt good night. On our third day, we hit the road to go to Braunfels, this small picturesque village just 1 hour outside Frankfurt. This was a special part of Dave's pre-cruise itinerary, having lived here in this village himself, one that looked straight out of a fairy tale storybook, giving us an unspoiled perspective of medieval Germany and for being one of the most well-preserved medieval villages in the country. A Upon our arrival, we were welcomed with a rather wonderful German feast at a local brewery called Ubermühle, owned and run by friends of Dave's. Being here gave us such a cozy, festive feeling, tucking ourselves to a great helping of traditional Hessian specialties, with enough delicious food to fill us all up. Plus a surprise appearance of St. Nicholas himself, giving away home-brewed craft beers, the tasty Schlewiner beers, making this stay in Braunfels off to such a fantastic start. That afternoon, we went for a short walk around the historic village to orient ourselves around the place, and we could already see and feel Braunfels' beautifully rustic, well-preserved atmosphere. And then later stopped for a German tradition, Kaffee und Kuchen, a coffee and cake break at a family-run cafe and conditorei, Vogel. Hands down the best cake and confectionery cafe we've been to in this entire trip in Germany. The cakes here are just too delicious for this world. The next day, we toured around Braunfels, understanding more about this village, why it's very special, and why it's still quite under the radar compared to other medieval German destinations, which means it's a lot quieter, more authentic, and has a really genuine atmosphere where you get to meet friendly locals. We enjoyed exploring its cobbled streets with amazingly preserved timber-framed houses, some of them dating back to the late Middle Ages, many of them bearing centuries-old craftsmanship. But the real draw of this place, the nucleus where the village and spa town evolved from, is the Braunfels Castle, sitting on a basalt hill, overlooking the whole town, a medieval fortress that has been here since the 13th century, and then later transformed and expanded into a neo-Gothic residence for the Counts of Solms and Braunfels. Part of what makes this castle really unique is that it continues until today as a private residence of the Solms-Braunfels family, so filming isn't allowed inside the castle, but we get to experience a tour through its storied interiors with our fantastic guide Andrea. We even get to witness our very own Thierry be knighted in the armory. Outside, we slowly made our way back and checked out the village Christmas market, sampling the local bratwurst and currywurst, and to prepare ourselves for that evening's event. The Braunfels Christmas market, although a small market, is very lively and looks even prettier at night. There's music, plenty of alpine food stands, and everyone huddled around with mugs of glühwein, giving us a local and authentic small-town atmosphere. That evening, we were booked at Dave's favorite restaurant in town, owned and run by his friends, the Geranios. And what a feast for our last night in Braunfels, full of wine, happiness, and such glorious, glorious Italian food. From the incredible selection of antipasti to the secondi that were made directly from the kitchen. And then this delicious dolce, this beautiful tiramisu. We dined in this Italian restaurant amazingly. The atmosphere that evening was really lovely too, and thanks to dinners like this, we get to bond better and feel more comfortable in the company of other guests, as we are surrounded by really friendly and warm-hearted people during this trip. Also thanks to Dave and Thierry for being such great hosts, connecting people throughout this adventure. Next morning, we got up nice and early, bid goodbye to Braunfels, and went for a 3-hour road trip to none other than the city of Nuremberg. This was also the embarkation day of our Rivercruise from Nuremberg, but thankfully we had the whole afternoon to enjoy this historic Bavarian city and its incredible Christmas market, known as one of the best in the world. As you'd perhaps know, Nuremberg is one of Germany's most fascinating cities, and we were lucky to explore it even for a brief time. At first glance, it's a very well-preserved medieval city, with the Nuremberg castle being once the center of the Holy Roman Empire. It's also home to Lorenskirche, one of the most stunningly atmospheric Gothic churches I've ever seen. Plus there's the iconic Frauenkirche, lording over the Hauptmarkt, where Nuremberg's main Christmas market is held. For lovers of art, this city played a great role in German Renaissance arts, being the home of Albrecht Dürer, perhaps Germany's most prominent artist. We walked around, appreciating Nuremberg's distinct ambience, immersing ourselves in this underrated city. But the real draw at this time of the year is the Christkindlesmarkt, Nuremberg's magnificent display of everything Christmassy, and the city's claim as one of the oldest Christmas markets, dating back in 1628, and certainly one of the most magical in the world. This market is very special for a couple of reasons. The market's unique symbol is a golden angelic figure called Christkind, instead of your typical St. Nicholas, as a result of Martin Luther and the Reformation in the 16th century, which shifted the focus away from Catholic saints and back to Jesus Christ, the Christ child, hence Christkind. This market is also beloved for its authenticity and tradition, where local craftsmanship is preserved and championed, which means you'll see no mass-produced goods here. From handcrafted Christmas items, decorations, toys, souvenirs, and thingamabobs, everything is lovingly handmade here. A nice touch of Nuremberg is to also feature crafts and products from countries all over the world. We also get to savor some of Nuremberg's food classics, such as the delicious Nuremberg sausages, these skinny pork bratwurst that are to live for. And the world-famous Lebkuchen, the German gingerbread, which Nuremberg is known for. We were here on a Sunday, so you can only imagine the crowds as market draws, but we found a perfect spot on a restaurant terrace with a higher ground level view of Nuremberg's market. As we stayed here, drank beers, enjoying the view and appreciating the truly magical atmosphere of this Christmas market square, which is a spectacle on its own. We stayed on, found Dave and Thierry enjoying their Glühwein, and joined them with mugs of our own, celebrating Nuremberg before embarking to our much-anticipated cruise on the Main River. And finally, the moment we've been waiting for.
Hi there.
Hello.
Good evening.
Hello.
We boarded our ship for this European Christmas cruise, the Amadeus Star, and we were escorted to our deck and checked into a wonderful cabin. Mind you, this is my first time ever on a river cruise in my entire life, so you can only imagine my sheer amazement and level of excitement. I could barely contain it, seeing the ship with my own eyes and stepping into the sleek interiors and spacious panoramic lounge truly felt like a dream come true, and that's no overstatement. After boarding, we had welcome drinks with Dave, the Rivercruise King, leading the charge, a true seasoned expert welcoming everyone on board. We were also greeted by Jan, our cruise manager, and Amadeus Star's captain and crew, as we sipped on champagne for the whole thing. A few guests in the ship already knew each other, having sailed together before, and Dave himself welcomed friends, so it truly added the warmth and friendly atmosphere on board, as we tucked into our welcome dinner at the dining room with a delicious 3-course meal, with free-flowing wine, laughter, and conversations. The whole evening was such a delight, and it really helped that we already spent 4 days together on a pre-cruise trip with our fellow travelers, as we all boarded the ship more relaxed, easygoing, and felt like we were in a company of friends. Later that evening, I took a wander around the ship, ruminating on our travels so far, just feeling incredibly grateful, looking out to the darkened river ahead, anticipating a Christmas cruise that I will surely forever remember. Our first full day on the Amadeus Star. Well, what can I say? There's something so remarkable about waking up each day to a new city, a new town, as the ship glides through the Main River. It's also really glorious walking to the ship every morning, the panoramic lounge greeting you with such peace, the river scenery unfolding outside the window as the guests slowly steer to life, with the ship and crew always ready to welcome each day like a brand new day. I also loved spending time at the rather elegant lounge at the back of the ship, where I could sit with a cup of coffee, looking out the window, enjoying the calm before every busy day ahead. And most mornings after breakfast, we are taking on excursions for an immersive travel experience along our Rhine River itinerary, visiting historic and fascinating towns in the region of Franconia. And our first stop is one of Germany's most beautiful towns, Bamberg. We slowly sauntered into the town, soaking the atmosphere as well as the chilly December morning air, walking past a district that they call Little Venice, with fishermen's half-timbered houses that leaned over the water, straddling the riverbanks in the 17th century. Our guide led us through the old town, a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and stepping into the spot of Bamberg felt like stepping back in time. Here, a treasure trove of historic architecture, including the 13th century Romanesque Bamberg Cathedral, and beside it, the new residence, this Baroque grand palace that used to be the home of prince bishops that ruled Bamberg, complete with a rose garden with stunning views of the old town. Down below, we walked around an incredibly beautiful town that's full of character and charm, full of wonderful facades and centuries-old breweries that made Bamberg famous. But the most eye-catching of all is Bamberg's Old Town Hall, an unconventional and iconic structure built in an island on the Regnitz River, with a beautifully Baroque facade and stunning frescoes that all adorn the walls. Legend has it that the town's bishop refused to grant land to build a town hall, so the townspeople built an artificial island on this river to build this magnificent work of art that's become a great symbol of Bamberg for centuries. Elsewhere, Bamberg never ceases to impress, as we grabbed a cup of coffee as we continued to explore, stepping into every beautiful corner, including the Jesuit church of St. Martin, further accentuating this town's love for the Baroque. And then it was time to check out Bamberg's Christmas market on Maximilianplatz, with the glow of fairy lights over gingerbread stalls, steaming glühwein, and all sorts of Christmas ornaments made by local artisans. It was everything a Christmas market should be, yet with Bamberg's own quiet charm. We returned to the ship later that afternoon in a festive spirit and ready for a feast. And even better, dress up for the evening's occasion, our accoutrement of Christmas spectacle to be worn during the night's entertainment. We also had a spectacle of our very own, an evening with the West End musical theatre star Lindsay Hamilton.
And I'm left here. That is a fantastic hat.
Also a dear friend of Dave, Lindsay was brought as a very special guest on a riverboat cruise, and this truly made our Christmas cruise even more special than it already was. Not only does Lindsay have a sparkling presence and a truly astounding voice to boot, but she's also incredibly funny, that dry British humour that just cuts through the air, breaking all kinds of ice, turning our evening into an all-laughing, all-singing night to remember.
This is a living hell for you, isn't it? For giving it to me. Give yourselves a huge round of applause.
This evening turned into a celebration as we celebrated a couple's wedding anniversary on the ship, tucked into a glorious dinner, and just before we thought it was over, we continued the night into a riotously fun Christmas Carol karaoke.
Oh, the weather outside is frightening, and the color is so delightful. And since we've no place to go, let it snow, let it snow, let it snow. Oh, jingle bells, jingle all the way. Oh, what fun it is to ride in a one-horse open sleigh. Hey!
Then Lindsay came back for a Christmas encore, wrapping up this evening perfectly.
Children, listen. My balls have dropped on this one. It says, be one.
Alright, time out. Just to say real quick, we thoroughly enjoyed our Advent season cruise from Germany to France that we made a whole entire video about it. It was our first time ever on a river cruise, like ever, and I loved the whole experience. Didn't you love it?
Yeah, it was magical, absolutely.
Great. And if you're wondering what it's like to be in a river cruise, stay there, keep watching the whole video to get inspired. We are also very inspired during this Christmas trip last December that we are going to be hosting our very own Christmas cruise on the Danube next December 2026.
Okay, actually, we are doing a partnership with the Rivercruise King, Dave, which is a wonderful host and will be a wonderful pleasure to work with.
Dave is the top of the top expert on the world of river cruises. I mean, he's practically royal in the world of cruises.
Okay, actually, the Dave is so much fun and you can see the way he talks and he does and the excitement he puts on it. It's absolutely contagious.
So check out our booking site in the link in the description below and come and join us for Christmas on the Danube in December 2026.
Okay, more than half of the cruise it's already booked, and what it's available are 19 cabins.
Yep, 19 cabins, and it's very limited spots only. So if I were you, I'll hurry now. Head to the booking page and book your spot. In the meantime, please enjoy the rest of this Christmas video and see you on the other side. Our next few days in the river cruise adventure were action-packed, to say the least, visiting medieval German towns that look straight out of picture postcards. This is my first time stepping to Franconian Germany, so I'm all wide-eyed, exploring these places with such keen curiosity. Day 2 of our Main River adventure took us on an unforgettable visit to one of Germany's most captivating medieval towns, Rothenburg ob der Tauber. Stepping into Rothenburg felt like walking into literally a romantic German postcard. And it's no coincidence. Rothenburg is probably one of the most popular towns in the German Romantic Road. You can absolutely feel the preservation at work here. Cobbled streets winding through half-timbered houses, and at this time of the year, every corner reveals a scene that could be straight from a Christmas card. Rothenburg is so special. It's one of the most preserved medieval towns, not just in Germany, but the entire Europe, making anyone who visits here absorbed by its untouched beauty. Walking through the town, you're greeted by ancient walls, gates and towers that have watched over the town for centuries. There's the iconic Plünlein, Rothenburg's most renowned landmark. That picture-perfect fork in the road with a tilted half-timbered house and 2 watchtowers is every bit as charming in real life as it is in photos. There's just so much detail in this town. It's such a feast for the eyes. Seriously, I couldn't help pointing my camera at every opportunity, in every direction. Even Dave and Thierry agree this is one of the most beautiful towns included in our Germanic itinerary. This town made an appearance in the 1968 British film Chitty Chitty Bang Bang, where some of the props you can still find in the Criminal Museum, a fun place for fans of medieval torture. This town is also famous for incredible handcrafted woodwork, the best of which you can find inside Jakobskirche or St. James Church, where you can marvel at the amazing altarpiece, a masterpiece by the artist Thielmann Schneider. But what makes Rothenburg truly magical during the festive season is its Heidelberg, the town's Christmas market. It's said to date back to the 15th century, and we get to explore it with its many stalls with lots of ornaments, wine and delicacies, and also go through the arcaded passageways with even more Christmas stalls selling even more handcrafted stuff. At some point, we tucked into another bratwurst. I mean, who could avoid bratwurst in a German Christmas market? They're practically mandatory. The scent of roasted nuts and mulled wine fill the air, but we also get to taste the local pastry called Schneebollen, a Rothenburg specialty. These delightful snowballs of fried dough, dusted with powdered sugar or dipped in chocolate, even sprinkles of ground almonds and pistachios, which I'd say are impossible to resist. We stopped by one of the Schneebollen cafes that populate the town and dug into not just one, but a couple of Schneebollens. We perused the Christmas market further, taking in every detail, every curiosity, soaked in the festive atmosphere, watching as families and friends gathered around glowing market stalls. I must admit, a superb highlight of Rothenburg is the Kürter Wohlfahrt Christmas Village. It's a one-of-a-kind Christmas shop that feels like it exists only in movies. But there we are, ogling with amazement, and stepping inside feels like entering into Santa's workshop, with rooms filled with all kinds of Christmas ornaments, crafty hand-carved nutcrackers, toys, and everything that makes you full of wonder and childlike excitement. We were told that it is not just a shop, it's truly a Christmas institution. Before we left Rothenburg later on, we treated ourselves to a slice of cake before heading back to the ship, ready for the next day's adventure. So, from romantic Franconia to pure Baroque Germany. We woke up the next day in the dramatic city of Würzburg. Even in a chilly December morning, from the old stone bridges lined up with statues of saints with the Rhine river flowing beneath and towards the historic centre, the city is already showing absolutely timeless charm and elegance. But chief among the city's Baroque masterpieces is none other than the Würzburg residence, which we visited with such delight. A UNESCO World Heritage Site, as well as one of Europe's most extraordinary Baroque palaces, we soaked in every dreamy detail of this magnificent place, the only palace visit during our entire Rivercruise itinerary. And stepping inside felt like walking into a dream. The grand staircase, with its sweeping curves leading up to the breathtaking ceiling fresco, Apollo and the Four Continents, the largest ceiling fresco in the world by the Venetian painter Giovanni Battista Tiepolo, arguably the greatest fresco painter of the 18th century, painted this masterpiece of color and movement. This former residence was built for the Würzburg prince-bishops, particularly the Schönbrunn family, employing the talents of the German architect Balthasar Neumann, and this building is a resplendent fusion of German and French architecture, with the Imperial Baroque style of Vienna. This palace was heavily destroyed during the air raids of the Second World War, and only this core of the residence survived. And after much incredible restoration work, we are lucky to even witness this majestic work of art today. We wandered around the opulent rooms adorned with gilded mirrors, crystal chandeliers, and intricate stucco work. The palace alone makes this Würzburg visit unforgettable. Outside, the city was alive with a Christmas atmosphere. The Würzburg Christmas market in the historic market square was a delightful maze of wooden stalls, offering everything from handcrafted ornaments to steaming mugs of Glühwein. I roamed around here, searching for unique gifts and just soaking up the atmosphere, enjoying the gentle ways of a Christmas morning market. Later, back on board the Rivercruise ship, Amadeus hosted a Rock Me Amadeus cocktail hour where we could enjoy our favorite cocktails on board, raising a glass to Würzburg, while Dave hosted a Christmas pajama party, which impressively, all guests turned up in the most Christmassy garb, quickly turning this evening into a fun blast. And just when the evening couldn't get any better, we had a surprise guest for the evening. We had the wonderful and fabulous Sederginne, an international star and one of the premier drag acts of Belgium and Netherlands, dropping by at a Rivercruise to entertain us with a Naughty or Nice bingo cabaret night. I must admit, this is the most roaringly fun bingo I've ever had in my life. Sederginne made us all roaring with fits of laughter until our stomachs hurt. We even had a sing-along and dancing. I mean, who knew river cruises could be this much fun?
It's time to do it.
After that incredible evening, we were treated to a more relaxed day, visiting two German towns along the Main River, Wertheim and Miltenberg. We went for a peaceful early morning walk around Wertheim, its medieval core still well preserved, with half-timbered houses and quirky shop signs, another glimpse of a storybook Germany on our route. From a distance, we could see the Wertheim Castle ruins perched high above the town. Next on our itinerary is Miltenberg, a curious little town that's definitely a blast from the past, a kind of folkloric Germany that looks like it was plucked straight out from a Brothers Grimm fairy tale, or even Goethe's Faust. The Schnatterloch Square, for instance, is surrounded by some of Germany's oldest timber frame buildings. One incredible landmark is the Gasthaus zum Riesen, said to be one of the oldest inns in the country, where emperors and travelers alike have rested for centuries. We walked around here enjoying the atmosphere and details of Miltenberg, and then went back for a cruise ship for a leisurely lunch on the Amadeus Star. One of the nice things about this cruise is that, as much as it is exciting to have daily excursions, we were also provided a free leisurely time to enjoy these calm moments of simply being present. We spent that afternoon free of schedule, as we simply enjoyed our time resting, being warm and cozy in the ship. After all, this is the holidays, and this was a much needed respite that we all deserved, luxuriantly watching the scenes outside our window and then having a long laid back dinner, overall enjoying our home on the river during this Christmas cruise. Next day was a big, glorious day. Our last full day in this river cruise journey took us to two of Germany's most storied cities, Heidelberg, the city of poets and philosophers, and Speyer, an ancient imperial city steeped in history. The moment we arrived in Heidelberg, we immediately went up to the city's most arguably iconic structure, the Heidelberg Castle, a magnificent ruin that still dominates the skyline. Built in the 13th century for the counts of the Palatine of the Rhine, the castle has stood for over 800 years since, witnessing the Holy Roman Empire rise and fall, number of wars, fires, and the passage of time. Built from the red sandstone quarried from the local mountains, this castle truly stands out with its color, as though it's glowing in its own accord. It was also turned into a Renaissance palace by Electorate Otto Henry, turning this into one of the most beautiful Renaissance facades in Germany. And sometime in the 19th century, this witnessed a revival during the German Romanticism, this mysterious ruin evoking romance and mystique between philosophers, poets, and artists. We went around the castle terrace, where we observed the breathtaking views of the old town and the Neckar River below. From this perspective, it was easy to see why this was considered a romantic castle, and the view it holds of the surrounding mountains sparks of timelessness. Before we left the castle, we made a last stop to check out the Heidelberg Tomb, the world's largest wine barrel, tucked into the basement of this castle. This 18th century barrel could hold over 220,000 liters of wine. You can even walk around and above it, and has added another great curiosity for this place, especially for wine lovers. Down the city below, the Heidelberg's old town is just as beautiful. Heidelberg is home to Germany's oldest university and one of the most incredible in Europe. So despite of its historic predilections, the city has a younger, youthful vibrancy to it. We enjoyed sauntering around the town, the old bridge, and along the streets full of centuries-old buildings. This was also a chance for us to savor some of Heidelberg's flavors. We stopped by at Vetter's Bräuhaus, one of Heidelberg's most famous breweries. We love the cozy atmosphere here, and even better, love the traditional German beers they brew in-house. We also tucked into the Schweinshaxe, or roast pork knuckle, for lunch. Overall, this felt like an authentic German beer hall experience, perfect for soaking in Heidelberg's old town vibe. Then it was time to get extra festive as we went to visit the Christmas markets in the old town. Heidelberg's markets, instead of concentrating into one, has a few Christmas markets spread around the historic center, some of them set against the romantic backdrop of the castle. There's so many delightful things brewing and sizzling in the stalls, but we settled for some delicious cakes and cookies from the famous Café Gundel, a must-visit in the city. A short ride away, we arrived in Speyer, one of Germany's oldest cities set in the Rhine River, with a history stretching back over 2,000 years. Once an important centre of the Holy Roman Empire, Speyer is known for its Imperial Cathedral, the biggest Romanesque church in the world, and a UNESCO World Heritage Site, where German kings and emperors are resting in their final place. We walked around this imposing, magnificent cathedral, greeting us with its vast nave and towering stone arches. You can even observe religious relics placed in the chapel, just above the crypt. It's easy to overlook and forget that this church is nearly 1,000 years old, its old Roman and Byzantine architecture predating the Gothic cathedrals in this country. Outside, we wandered through Maximilianstrasse, the city's grand old boulevard, leading from the cathedral to the Altportal, or the Old Gate, one of Germany's tallest medieval city gates. Speyer's Christmas market was in full swing, nestled in the shadow of the cathedral. I find this market actually very pretty, with a Christmas pyramid and a wonderful carousel. And there are also a lot of stalls you can choose from, including a 100,000-litre Glühwein stall. You're definitely not going to run over Glühwein, not in this town. But we went for beer instead, in the Paulaner Wirtshaus, and enjoyed a proper German pint. And when we came out, the dusk had fallen, and as the light faded, the Christmas market was even more alive and even more gorgeous, the lights filling up the street, turning Speyer into a magical Christmas wonderland. We made our way back to the ship, feeling celebratory for a final night in the Rivercruise. We were treated to a captain's dinner, celebrated a few birthdays on board, and sailed away that evening towards the Rhine River. But seriously, we couldn't truly leave this boat without some good old groovy shaking and dancing.
Are we really going to do this? Alright.
We were even joined by a lovely crew, capping this river adventure with such booty shaking. This is day 11 of our Christmas trip, and we finally made it on the Rhine River. We disembarked in the rather wintry town of Nierstein in Germany, and soon we boarded a private coach and made our way to France. We were greeted by snow-covered towns and villages, and then that winter sun peeking through the frosty air as we made our way on the French border. Our next destination, the first one in our post-cruise trip in the Alsace region in northeastern France, on the west bank of the Upper Rhine River, is being called the most beautiful village in the whole of France. This is Riquewihr. I've heard so much about Riquewihr, and seeing this place in real life is truly heart-stoppingly beautiful. If you've seen the 1991 animated film Beauty and the Beast, Disney Studios drew inspiration from real French villages, and Riquewihr is one of them. A bona fide medieval gem in the truest sense of word. And even though we came here on a Saturday, which felt like the whole Alsatian region descended in this village, we managed to enjoy and be in awe of the whole place, with every street, corner and building dressed up for the Christmas season. It's no competition, and the Germans were incredible with their decorations, but the French were absolutely putting on their Christmas A-game on. Riquewihr looks, feels and breathes like a Christmas village. Riquewihr has a unique French and German influence, having been ruled by the Counts of Württemberg until the 17th century, and despite the turmoils of war throughout time, this precious medieval village miraculously survived. Its original 16th century half-timbered buildings look like stunning time capsules. You can literally feel the Christmas spirit here, even just by walking around in its little streets and alleyways. Since this is the Alsace region, famed for exquisite wines, famous for the Riesling and Gewürztraminer, we stopped at the rustic bar Hôtel de la Couronne to sample some Alsatian wines, a dry Riesling and a lovely Pinot Noir, to remind ourselves that Riquewihr once flourished due to the wine trade, being surrounded by plains full of vineyards. We then headed off to explore the Christmas markets and shops. Just each and every nook and cranny in this village is crammed with absolute delight. Before heading to our lunch at the restaurant Cabaret de Roi, where a traditional Alsatian menu awaits for us, a big pork knuckle, sausages and sauerkraut, as well as a great helping of a black forest cake. We left this beautiful village with such a festive feeling and headed to our next and final destination in our 12-day Christmas market trip. We made it to Strasbourg. We checked in at Le Grand Hotel, which is conveniently located just across the main Strasbourg station. After settling in, Dave and Thierry took us for an orientation exploration around the city, and let me say this right off the bat, I immediately loved Strasbourg. I find it sumptuously alluring. It's a grand, captivatingly historic city with lots and lots of heritage, with a gently flowing river that runs around it. And as if we haven't had enough riverboat adventure, Dave took us on another kind of boat experience, on the Batorama that takes us along the waterways and canals around the city, on the River Ill that flows around the historic centre of Strasbourg, a river that's connected to the Rhine. We found that this boat journey around the Grand Ile was a necessity, helping us learn about Strasbourg as a city, how it's been shaped throughout centuries, how this has been a result of a centuries tug of war between France and Germany. Both cultural influences throughout time has created a unique Alsatian identity. As they say, not quite French and not quite German, but something beautifully in between. The result is palpable in its architecture, customs, food, and even dialect. We had an unparalleled view of the city from the river, observing incredibly charming timbered houses, landmarks, and the covered bridges, these 14th century fortified tower bridges that helped secure the independence of Strasbourg Republic. We even get to see the European Parliament, Strasbourg being the official seat of the European government, from a city that's been the bridge between two worlds to a symbol of European unity. Elsewhere, Strasbourg is even more deeply fascinating. This is an immensely walkable city. In fact, most of its charms can be found on foot. The Grand Ile, that is the island in which the historic centre of Strasbourg sits on, was declared a UNESCO World Heritage Site in 1988, and it's a real charmer. Its medieval backstreets like the picturesque neighbourhood Petit France, giving an atmospheric feel of the city's soul. We loved strolling here. Another pleasure to be had is walking along the riverbanks and the bridges and walkways that crisscross along canals and waterways, making it a really scenic walk in this ancient part of Strasbourg. But Strasbourg's pièce de résistance is the historic heart of the Grand Ile, where a historic landmark stands like a magnificent behemoth that stands proud and tall on the city's skyline, the Notre Dame Cathedral of Strasbourg. What used to be a 10th century Romanesque church was transformed into an astonishing work of pure Gothic marvel. It's considered one of the most breathtaking Gothic cathedrals in the world. And what's even more unique, it's built from pink sandstone, giving it a distinct look, its facade being called a giant lacework of stone carvings. This cathedral has survived wars, revolutions, and World War II bombings, so it's even more astounding that we have this completely preserved today. Next to the cathedral, we visited Palais Rohan, an 18th century episcopal palace built for the Prince and Bishops of Strasbourg, containing some of the finest French Baroque in the whole of Alsace. This palace now houses 3 prestigious museums: the Decorative Arts, the Fine Arts, and the Archaeological Museum. In the Fine Arts Museum, you'll find paintings by European masters: Rubens, Botticelli, Goya, and Delacroix. Afterwards, we walked around the side streets and ended up in the beautiful Rue de Fèvre, where we took a break for lunch at the restaurant and Wienstube, or wine lounge, sans sepulchre, offering traditional Alsatian flavors and, of course, fantastic Alsatian wines. We went for a trilogy of local cheeses and carved meat, a side dish of spatzel, and a rich game stew of venison. And our sommelier chose a Grenache and Syrah wine from Vaqueras in the Rhône wine region of France, completing our meal deliciously. For dessert, we decided to venture out to try a Strasbourg institution at Patisserie Christian, where the cakes are simply heavenly. This artisanal pastry shop is a pure Alsatian creation, where its maker created Maison Christin in 1962. We tasted 2 of their cakes, and I doubt we'll find greater pleasures in life. But speaking of pleasures to be had, we were here in Strasbourg to also experience and soak up the Christmas atmosphere in this vibrant city. Let it be known that Strasbourg holds the title of the capital of Christmas in all of France, and the Nuremberg Christkindlesmarkt, spread across the historic centre of Strasbourg, is the oldest in the country and some of the most famous in Europe. So it's no surprise that the decorations here are astounding. Walk from Place du Marché au Cochon de Lait to Rue de Marocain, and you'll see traditional timbered houses festooned with the most adorable Christmas adornments. But truly the city's real surprise is at nighttime, when Strasbourg reveals its greatest spectacle, a beautifully illuminated city of Christmas. Strasbourg definitely earns the title as the capital of Christmas. The city sparkles in ways we'd never imagined, so stunningly captivating that we walked around here in awe of these illuminations. In Place de la Cathédrale, the square is lit up so wonderfully, the Notre Dame, a vision of ethereal luminosity. Wait until you walk through Rue de Mercier to see a divine vantage point of the cathedral. We walked around Place Gutenberg so we could see it all lit up. We also went back through the famous Rue de Fèvre, which looks even more stunning at night, with incredible facades that will plunge you right away into Christmas spirit. In Place Cabaret, you'll find one of the Strasbourg's major Christmas markets, with over 300 chalets of food, decorations, crafted ornaments, and delightful treats to make you giddy with excitement. And at the far end stands one of the tallest Christmas trees in Europe, over 30 meters tall and decorated to a pure spectacle, all shining, shimmering, and splendid, as it attracts people to gather around to witness a light show performance to the tune of glorious festive music. From the very busy squares, we also walk through quieter streets, through Rue de Marocain that looks straight out of a Christmas fairy tale. We adored walking around Strasbourg at night, the Christmas light putting us in such a festive mood, and even had a chance to stop by at a fantastic wine bar, l'Alsace du Bois, for a celebratory glass of Alsace wine to celebrate our last night at Strasbourg. We went back to Place Kléber much late in the evening, and on a Sunday night it feels much calmer, and we got to enjoy a serenely beautiful harmony of light and music in front of this amazingly lit up Christmas tree. Grateful of these past 2 weeks that we've had, a pure Christmas adventure we've never expected to experience in our lives. We had a lot of firsts on this trip. First time in German and French Christmas markets, first time in a river cruise, and first time ever to sail with Dave and Thierry. And you know what? I'm so glad we said yes to this adventure. Yes to Christmas markets, yes to river cruise, yes to sailing with Dave, the Rivercruise king. It felt as if a whole new world has opened up. From a person who has never considered going on a river cruise to someone who's actively participating to experience more amazing river cruises. All the itinerary, the cities and towns we've visited, the glorious Christmas markets we've explored, the delightful laughter-filled moments we've had in the Amadeus Star were all incredible and unforgettable. But we also earned something more than experience. We will never forget the connections we've made, the new acquaintances and friendships we've forged, and the adventures we've all shared. It was the people that made this extra special. Everyone has been kind, warm-hearted and welcoming, and I have everything to thank Dave for. who, apart from being a witty, brilliant human being, with an attention to detail that's next to none, he made us truly feel we weren't just voyaging with a group of strangers, but in the delightful company of friends where everyone is welcome. And that to me is the absolute secret ingredient to the spirit of Christmas. Thank you for joining us on this Rhine River Christmas adventure. I hope you all enjoyed watching all of it and got some real inspiration from it. It was really, really special. I mean, it was the first cruise we ever went on. Not just me, but together.
By the way, we have something even more special.
So we are officially co-hosting a most magical Christmas in the Danube cruise next December 2026 with none other than Dave, the Rivercruise king, and his wonderful partner Tien. And we are sailing with a brand new Amadeus Nova ship, which we recently went on last March during the Rivercruise King Academy, where we were officially trained how to run travel groups and plunge into the world of the river cruises. And Sal, isn't the ship so beautiful?
The ship was modern, was new.
Super elegant, it's very classy. I mean, you would love to be there.
The cabins are so comfortable.
The cabins were extremely comfortable.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super comfortable. I had amazing sleep in there.
Staff was one of a kind.
The food was top notch.
Yes.
The service was great. And there's even a heated pool on the deck.
Actually, we dip on it.
We did a dip in it with Lindsay, which was an amazing evening. Practically, you wouldn't want to miss being on this river cruise. So Amadeus Nova has 79 cabins and accommodates up to 158 people. So in the world of river cruises, that is actually pretty intimate.
Yes, yes.
We know that December 2026 is over a year away, but the cabins on the Amadeus Nova are more than half booked already, and we have 19 cabins left. So before you miss out on this amazing opportunity to travel together, go to the booking site, link below in description, book your cabin and your spot before it goes.
Okay, we have a wonderful itinerary, very exciting. Don't forget, we will stay in a few wine regions between Austria and Germany. The wines are spectacular, and I'm preparing something also special goes along with wine, because I'm a sommelier, as you know.
So being in the majestic Danube, we'll be sailing from Austria to Germany, passing and stopping at cities along the way. We will be embarking from Vienna, which has an amazing Christmas market, by the way.
Yes.
Stopping by at Melk, Passau, Regensburg, and then disembarking in the incredible city of Nuremberg. And we will be visiting Christmas markets all throughout these places. Dave is also preparing some very special guests along on board. There will also be opportunities to do a pre and post trip. So stay tuned and we will reveal more details when time comes. So from me and Sal, we say thank you. And we are looking forward to see you on the cruise next Christmas.
I can't wait. No, this doesn't work.
No, it's fine. It's all good. We can't wait to see you. Ciao. Bye.
Bye-bye.